Hello and welcome to Business Live. Coming up in this bulletin, economist Professor William Bambuatin warns Cedi's sharp appreciation could hurt the economy, cautioning it could hit exporters badly and affect inflows and revenue.
Like depreciation of the domestic currency is not good, it's a bad thing. An appreciation of the domestic currency is also not pleasant. What is better is stability.
We will be engaging an exporter on how he is managing this development. Also in this bulletin, Chief Executive of Daylex Finance, Joe Jackson, calls on government to maximize the benefits of the current global economic climate to boost the national economy and improve the financial well-being of citizens.
Of all, the major effect is external. So if the Trump war is resolved, they're going to be in trouble. If the dollar starts to appreciate against other major currencies, we're going to be in trouble.
Plus, Africa Center for Tax Policy Research proposes 1% COVID levy is renamed and channeled into the Ghana Medical Trust Fund. Why this proposal? We are live with a tax consultant. We have details of this and more coming your way all in a moment. Please stay on. Thanks so much. You could join me. I am Pius Kojo Baka. Let's now take a look at our stories we have for you. And we want to begin with the performance of the cedi because economist Professor William Bambuatin is warning a sharp appreciation of the cedi might not be good for the economy. The local currency is said to have appreciated by more than 10% since the beginning of this year. Now, Bloomberg News Network has classified the cedi as best performing in the world. But speaking on PM Express Business Edition, Professor Bambuatin noted that if this trend should continue, it could hit high inflation and discourage exports.
Now, so you look at the situation that we have. I will put it like depreciation of the domestic currency is not good, it's a bad thing. An appreciation of the domestic currency is also not pleasant. What is better is stability. And stability enables both exporters and importers to be able to plan. Let me give you this analysis and a transmission and so on, so that you'll be able to appreciate it. And I will start from government. We've all appreciated the concerns about what depreciation of the cedi does to our economy. So I will not go there. Now we are in what I see as appreciation. It's not stability, but it's appreciation. Now, one thing that happens is that from the government perspective, we all know that at the ports, Tema Port or Takoradi Port, taxes that are imposed on our imports, import duties, we know the exchange rate plays a big role.
Yeah.
So in that instance, if the exchange rate was 15 and it's now 13, remember government is losing revenue in cedi terms. So from that perspective, government will have its revenue come down in nominal cedis. And therefore, what it has budgeted using 15 may come down. So that becomes negative on the part of government. But there's a positive side to this as well. Government has a lot of external debt denominated in dollars. So if the cedi also appreciates, it means that government doesn't need more cedis to exchange for dollars. Now, government needs fewer amount of cedis to exchange for the same amount of debt in dollars. So that is also positive for government. So the appreciation has both positive and negative in terms of government finances.
So what do exporters make of this interesting revelation? And we want to speak to an exporter, George Ponye, for some concerns about this very subject matter we are about to discuss. And he joins us via Zoom. George, thanks so much for your time on Business Live. And first off, what do you make of the cedi's interesting and, of course, impressive appreciation against the dollar?
Yeah, I've also observed it for a while now, and it was not what we had planned for. We knew that this situation can arise because it can either go one way or the other. However, for exporters, this is a significant increase over a short period of time.
Tell me, how is it impacting your operations, George?
Yeah, I can speak in general terms. You prepare your budget based on a number of projections, one of which is that you are going to operate with an exchange rate of at a certain level. So if you have such a significant drop in the value of the dollar over a period of time, what this means is that the amount of revenue you expect in terms of CDs will not be achieved, which means that you may have to exchange, you have to use more of your Forex resources to exchange into CDs in order to meet the local commitments that you have. And if this continues for a while, that can become problematic, but it means that your budget will be totally out of gear.
Clearly, which means you weren't, expecting this to happen. But there are projections by some economists that this development could hurt your business, and I guess that is so from your analysis so far.
Yes, because as mentioned earlier on, stability is what all business people look at for, so it helps you to project over a longer period of time. But then if you have this sudden developments which you have not anticipated, it can become problematic, especially if it persists for a while.
I'm interested in this. How are you deploying any measure to lessen this impact, like insurance or anything you have in mind?
Oh, this is not the normal trend in Ghana over a long period of time. So this is not anticipated. For now, we are observing and we are hoping that the situation will become more stable in a short period of time. If it continues for a while, it will mean that we have to take other steps. But undoubtedly, what it means is that we may need to provide more additional Forex resources in order to meet our local commitments, salaries, local supplies, and things like that, and which is a substantial part of cost. So that could affect cost over a period of time.
Well, per the finance minister's projection, this is likely to, expand going into the next quarter. If it is going to be so, it appears it's going to appreciate for a very long time. And I want to know more steps you intend to, take to avert some of the impact it would have on your operations.
Yeah. For now, it's happening, and we have to respond to it. It will mean that, as I mentioned, more foreign resources have to be deployed to meet local commitments. So, and this has not been factored into the budget for 2025. So we are observing, and then we will have to respond accordingly in order to ensure that we continue to be in business.
Would you call on government to intervene?
No, I mean, we all want stability. All business people want stability. Stability is what business requires, So I think that at the appropriate time, when this trend continues, there will be a need to provide some stability for business. Government will have to find ways and means of, cushioning exporters from this significant drop in their income.
Very well. Thank you so much, George, for your time. He's an exporter sharing his perspective with us here on Business Life in relation to the appreciation of the cedi and, of course, its impact on the operations of exporters. And we want to stay a while longer on the cedi's performance because Chief Executive Officer of Delex Finance, Joe Jackson, has called on the government to maximize the benefits of the current global climate, especially at a time when the cedi is significantly appreciating against the US dollar. He emphasized that leveraging this opportunity could help boost the national economy and improve the financial well-being of citizens. He made these remarks on Marketplace.
External. So if the Trump war is resolved, we're going to be in trouble. If the dollar starts to appreciate against other major currencies, we're going to be in trouble. So listen, it's not as if but there are risks to everything. Every course of action we choose, there would have been a risk. So I'm not worried if there's a reversal. If the reversal in gold prices, there'll be a risk. But at this moment, it seems like the stars have aligned to put us in a good place. And we ourselves, by our actions, are also properly aligned to take advantage of that. And so we should give credit where credit is due. Take advantage of the global economy and claw back some. Listen, you and I have suffered greatly when the cedi depreciated. Let's claw back some of the. Let's not be naysayers and negative about this. It improves your purchasing power. It does to mine.
Well, the Association of Ghana Forex Bureau is calling on the Bank of Ghana to strengthen its interventions to ensure the sustained stability of the Ghana cedi. According to the association's president, Dr. Alex Akpebli, enhanced measures will foster a more resilient economy. He made these remarks in an interview with my colleague, James Eshen.
With a foreign currency, they demand from you your receipts, where the money is coming from. You see, so if bureaus are not issuing receipts, I want to say that those bureaus are not licensed.
Now, yeah, let's come to the Ghana cedi. I mean, over the years, you've been predicting positives, and if there are some negativities to you point out, we've seen the cedi stabilize for some time now. How do we sustain this? From what, I mean, from your expertise, and how do we seem to sustain this going forward?
I keep saying that the exchange rate is an effect and not a cause. Okay? So it is very, very important to know the cause, the causality, which is the relationship between the cause and the effect, and to know those variables that are influences the effect. So, and it's through monetary policy. Okay? It's through policy reforms. The BOG, for instance, is they are in charge of monetary policy, and by extension, those in charge of fiscal policy, the finance ministry. In fact, to talk about stability, these are the institutions that must be answering these questions. We are just there to support. Okay. The support also comes the way they want us to do it. Okay. Sometimes the rates are determined also by demand and supply. If you watch the supply side, the variables that drive the supply, and then you look at the demand side, the variables that drive the demand, okay, you will see that, again, speculation play a major, and so if that can be tackled, we can play a part. Okay, the Forex Bureau can play a part in that. But, let me say that if BOG wants stability of the cedi, we can be part. If they so will, they can rope us in, and I can assure you that we will do also our part. And at the end of the day, they take the glory.
Away from the cedi's performance, let's now talk on revenue matters, because the Africa Center for Tax Policy Research is proposing that the 1% COVID levy be renamed and channeled into the Ghana Medical Trust Fund, also known as the Mahama Cares. The group is of the view that such an initiative will enhance permanent funding into the trust to improve healthcare. Speaking to Joy Business, leading member of the group and tax consultant Francis Timoboy urged government to consider the proposal in the media budget when reforming the value-added tax system. And Francis Timoboy joins us live via Zoom for a conversation on this very proposal they're making. And Francis, I truly appreciate your time here on Business Live. Now, the GRA says they are almost done reviewing the country's VAT system. How are you envisaging that this very proposal of the COVID levy will be renamed and channeled into the Ghana Medical Trust Fund, also known as the Mahama Cares Foundation?
So Pius, the reform is very necessary, because if you look at the current structure, the yield that the VAT brings into our tax bucket is very small. The African Tax Administrator Forum, they do a comparison of 36 countries and how much the VAT contributes. Even though we have the highest VAT rate, when it comes to the yield, we are just doing about 18%, when Togo and Benin are doing close to 40%. So clearly the reform is needed. And so what we are saying is that let us, for example, the decoupling that was done in August 2018, let us reverse it. And I'm happy that the government is saying that is one of the things that they are looking at. Now, when they finish that decoupling, we've heard the government trying to come up with a special fund which is going to deal with these chronic diseases. Pius, you and I know very well that the chronic diseases, stroke, kidney, and all these things places a very serious financial constraint on people who find themselves in that situation. So the proposal is that when this policy or reform is completed, government says that they are abolishing the 1%. What we are saying is that let's channel it to support the fund. Clearly, if you look at the sources of funding, these are not permanent or stable sources. I mean, government officials donating their salaries cannot take care of dialysis. So we need a permanent funding, and we believe that the COVID-19, if the government is able to repackage it very well, Ghanaians will buy into it and accept that it should go into funding this critical ailment that some of our citizens are suffering from.
But really, businesses are looking forward to the scrapping of the COVID-19 levy entirely. So anything that comes up with a levy trying to, kind of build a buffer of the Mahama care isn't anything they would buy.
No, Pius, so what we're saying is that if you look at the current form, it places the burden on businesses. VAT system, the principle is that it is a consumer who must pay. What we did in 2018 was that we made it a levy. We separated it from the VAT. And so businesses were not entitled to the input VAT. So you consider the Get Fund, NHIL, and then the 1% COVID-19, that comes to 6%. If you buy goods and services, this becomes a cost to a business. And that went clearly against the principles of VAT. So the reform should be completed. What we're saying is that allow businesses to take it as an input VAT. It's not going to be a cost to businesses anymore, but rather the consumer is the one who is going to pay. So businesses will be freed, all right. But what we're saying is that maintain it, and then now consumers will pay. And then let's channel it to support this critical ailment. So businesses are going to be freed from the reform, which is currently ongoing, which the Commissioner for GRA is saying that it's almost complete.
Quick expectations on that, and how do you think that will address the challenges when it comes to revenue mobilization?
For me, I think it's rather even going to help government raise more revenue. What you wouldn't want to do is to set up such a fantastic fund, and then the fund will not be enough to cater for expenses. We are told that part of the 2.5% get the national health insurance will go into that. But you and I know that the national health insurance already is not adequate. People go to hospital and some medications are not on it. So it is still not adequate. And so if you have such an earmark fund, it is rather going to help government, raise more revenue to fund healthcare and things of healthcare. Everybody, I don't think that Ghanaians will, kick against it, especially if businesses are going to be freed from this and they will be allowed the input tax reduction.
Francis Timobo, I truly appreciate time. Is a tax consultant speaking to us here on Business Live. You're still watching Business Live. We are taking a breather. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Business Live. Public relations practitioners have been urged to uphold integrity in their line of duty and be data-driven to remain relevant in whichever sector they find themselves. Founder of the African University College of Communications, Kojo Yanka, said this is key to ensuring sustainability. He spoke at the Institute of Public Relations Legends Night event.
Former Minister of State highlighted the importance of truth, acquiring the necessary knowledge and confidence to practitioners.
I wanted to know more about our social and political systems, our social and traditional systems. I was African. I didn't know our history. I had some mates who were Nigerian years ago in secondary school, but they were thrown out of Ghana sometime. And so I went back and thought that I was missing something. Ghana is next to Nigeria, and you have our media playing against Nigeria. We didn't know ourselves until I found AUCC, at that time AIJC, and I went to Kenya to bring a professor to be the first dean. He didn't know that West Africa was that different from East Africa. But at the same time, he learned over the 2 years the similarities.
The PR Legends Night put together by the Institute of Public Relations Ghana brought together seasoned professionals, emerging talent, and industry enthusiasts, and offered an invaluable opportunity for participants to draw from the wealth of experience and insight in the PR industry.
And to some other stories, the Forestry Commission is allaying fears among local timber industry players who contend the issuance of forest law enforcement, governance and trade license is a bane to the operations. The Commission says the legal regime that allows timber exports to the European market is a means to check illegal logging and foster proper forest governance, ultimately enhancing productivity in the local industry. More in this report.
2024, the Lands and Natural Ministry signed an agreement with the European Union for the issuance of the Forest Law Enforcement, Governance and Trade License. Ghana becomes the second country globally and first in Africa to issue the legal license by the close of June 2025. This voluntary partnership agreement is a significant step in the country's commitment to trade in legal timber and wood products to combat illegal logging and promote good forest governance. Samuel Maule Do is Research and Statistics Manager at the Forestry Commission.
Before the FLET, introduction of this FLET and the VPA, people were able to mix different illegal material, legal material, and mail them for export. But with this, the system will track its entries, know that yes, this source of food is coming from an illegal source. So it will not allow you to mail it for export, or will not get you the trade licenses to export.
As part of sensitization efforts ahead of the official issuance, the Forestry Commission organized a two-day workshop bringing together stakeholders in both the downstream and upstream sectors of the timber industry. Participants were exposed to the rudiments in obtaining the license for exportation of timber to the European market and its benefit to the local industry. Acting Director of the Timber Industry Development Division of the Forestry Commission, Dr. Richard Jima, highlights the importance of the industry in complementing the government's 24-hour economy.
Last year, in 2024, Ghana exported timber products close to 125 million euros. And this revenue that the state benefit from, especially through the taxes that we collect. And so if the timber industry is vibrant, it means that we are going to create more jobs, then people are also going to improve upon their livelihood because it has a very big supply chain.
The issuance of the fledged license also affirms the country's openness to serve as a model for other countries that want to pursue the path towards issuing fledged license. Eric Hayford-Eshen of the Forestry Commission explains benefits of the new license to local industry players.
There is an established legal definition of wood, of which almost all of them are aware, right from sourcing through to the trade. And we expect that they comply. We also expect that in doing that they should be able to have proper records keeping. And again, comply or collaborate with legal audit. So one, to me, Ghana is sending or exporting legal wood to the EU. And that will make them very competitive. In that countries who are unable to meet the requirements of the EU will not be able to do that. So we stand a chance of even growing our market share in the European markets.
For Joy News, my name is Emmanuel Bright-Kweku.
Great for serving you. I am Pius Kojo Baka. Beyond the Numbers is next.